spanning approximately the years 16,000 to 1750 years, is usually called Baroque period. The terms come from the Portuguese word Barroco. So, diri nato nabalaan nga ang word nga Baroque or Barroco is gikan siya sa Portuguese, which refers to pairs of odd, irregular shape. In Tagalog, the closest word that we can associate with it is Baroque, usually referring to a corrupted, disjointed ways of speaking. The Baroque was coined by art historians and scholars. And second, Galilei. So si Galileo Galilei is nag-construct siya og his first telescope atong year 1609 after hearing of Dutch spyglasses quickly improving their design for astronomical use. His earliest instrumentation, which featured a plano-convex objective lens and concave eyepiece. So let's proceed. The Copernicus heliocentric model published in 1543 in De Revolution Venus Orbium Celestium proposed that the sun is not the earth, was the stationary center of the universe.
Music life in the Baroque period, roughly 16,000 to 1750s, was time of eminent dramatic expression, technical innovation, and grand spectacle, where music was utilized to evoke specific, intense emotion known as affections. It was a period marked by the patronage of churches and noble courts, the invention of opera and the rise of instrumental music, setting the stage of Western classical music as we know it today. Being a Baroque composer was like being a servant under the authority of a master, who was more craft worker rather than a free-minded artist, who could create music independently according to his inspiration, feeling, or whims. The institutions are the court, the churches, the house, the...
So the next is core and characteristics and styles. So Doctrine of Affections is a Baroque composers that aim to move the emotions, affections of their audience, often dedicating an entire piece of movement to one specific mood, such as grief, joy, or rage. So this explains music shows one main feeling at the same time, like happy or angry. And the next is basso continuo. The defining texture of the era that evolved continuous bass line by a cello or basson, with a keyboard instrument like harpsichord or organ or lute or improvising chord about it. So this is a steady bass line throughout the music. Next is ornamentation. Ornamentation performs a frequently decorated melody lines with trills turns to others establishment, often to improvising these additions. So, kung ano siya, ang mga musicians is gaad sila extra note to decorate the melody. And the last is contrast. Composers created drama by contrasting loud and soft dynamics called terracid or dynamics, or by paintings against the full ensemble concerto. So music changed between the loud and soft or solo groups. So next is the role of patronage where the music was heard. So number 1 is court life. Court life is king and nobles paid musician to play the music. Church music. Church music used for worship wrote many church pieces. Next, and the last is public concerts, so people could buy tickets and watch the performances of their favorite. The major musical genres and forms. So we have a opera, a story told with singing, acting, and music. Oratorio, a religious story told with music but no acting. So ano lang yun siya, music, pero wala na siya mga etche acting only. Concerto, a solo instruments play with an orchestra. And concerto grosso is a small groups play against a big group. We have dance suit, a group of a different dance songs played together. And the last is fugue. So fugue is a song where the same tone repeats in a different voices. And the last is K performances and instrument. And we have a harpsichord. So harpsichord is a primary keyboard instrument essential for the continuo group. So a keyboard instrument this is a use for Baroque music. And a violin, a main string instrument on the orchestra. And we have organ. Organ is a large keyboard instrument used in churches. And castrati. Castrati is male singers with high voices. And the last is virtuosity. Musicians were very skilled and show off their talent.
Characteristic of Baroque music. Baroque music, roughly 16,000 to 1750, is characterized by ornate, complex melodies, a strong continuously rhythm pulse, and the use of basso continuo or a thorough bass. To provide a harmonic foundation, it frequently features intense or emotional expression or terraced dynamics or abrupt change in volume, and dense polyphonic texture with composers like Bach, Handel, and Vivaldi. A pervading sense of dualism can be outlined throughout Baroque art. That of extravagance as seen in the absolutism of the monarchy, and that of careful calculation as embodied by advanced sciences. The contrast between these two elements, portrayed as loud versus soft sounds, soloist versus ensemble playing, is an important element of Baroque music. Or you can see this in lesson 4 of module 3 that Ma'am San in the I Learned. Basso continuo, also called as Toro bass, a device where both the melody and the bass line were written out, but the harmonic filling in between was done in shorthand symbols, usually using numbers. Improvisation. Musical pieces or scores during the Baroque period were usually devoid of expressive markings such as dynamics and articulation, and so musicians had to improvise on the spot, much like what happened in today's jazz music. Improvisation. Ornamentation. Baroque architecture was elaborate and extravagant in many small details, curves, embellishments, and designs. This was also evident in the music. Notes may be added or subtractive rhythms may be changed, and passage may be extended into higher or lower registers as determined by the musician's mood, creativity, or spontaneous artistry. Are the examples of Baroque embellishments as seen in the architectures, arts, and crafts. The fugue. A musical device where a tune that begins a piece is repeated by other voice or instrument, usually a fifth above or fourth below. It is a form of imitative polyphony